When my sister got married in 2016, I was her baker and also a bridesmaid. And I remember vowing and promising myself never to do that again. If I'm going to be a bridesmaid, I will be a bridesmaid. If I'm going to be the baker, I will just be the baker. I will never mix those two together. And fast forward to 2024, I have decided, or I accepted, to be my cousin's bridesmaid and also her baker. And if it was any other person, I think I would say no. Even for a friend, I would ask them to pick me as one. But my cousin and I are literally, like, we've grown up together. We've been friends as well since we were little girls. So when she told me she wants me to bake for her, it was an obvious yes. And when she also asked me to bake for her, it was also just yes. I didn't even think too much about it. The only thing me and her had to sit down and figure out is, if I'm going to be a bridesmaid and I'm baking, how will the cake get to the venue? Because unlike for my sister's wedding, everything was like in a manageable radius. So even if I was baking, my friend delivered the cake for me. My friend slept over at our house. Like, we left for the wedding from our house, so it was much easier for me to plan ahead. But for this wedding, my cousin's wedding, I live in Nairobi. She lives in Gatundu and the wedding is in Limuru. So Friday night I have to sleep over at her place because we're waking up at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. and then be at the venue by 8 a.m. the wedding venue. So there is that bit of a challenge of me finishing up the cake, getting my hair, my nails, myself ready to go to her house for the sleepover and then go to the wedding. So I am trying my best not to panic about that, although I have made arrangements with my uncle, that very same uncle I always talk about, and one of my ex-students who's also my sister-in-law, to help with the delivery and setup. And the biggest stressor for me is I really hope, because I won't be there, to make sure everything runs as perfectly as I would personally prefer, since I'm delegating other people to do it. The only challenge and fear I have is they don't make it on time. I know I won't be there to know they won't make it on time, but that is my biggest stressor. The only thing I know I will be responsible for is just going to check that they actually delivered and set it up how I would personally like the cake set up. But at that point, the only thing I can do is help out. So I will try my best not to think about it until Saturday, because there's nothing else to do unless, but I think I'll also ask my mom and my dad to help me out just in case these guys fail me. But I'm really praying to God they don't. But yeah, so today is Monday. I am starting on the cake today. So I will hopefully, just like my other cousin's wedding, take you through each and every day of the process. And is there anything else I need to think about? No, not really. So I will just start as usual. Today is Monday. I baked yesterday, technically the whole day, baked the cake because it's 15 kilos of cake before icing. It's 15 kilos of cake. So today I want to do buttercream, tomorrow ganache, Wednesday and Thursday fondant, Friday final touches of fondant, and showing my uncle and sister-in-law how I would want the cake to look like so that they don't have any challenges on Saturday before I go get my hair, nails and everything else sorted. So yes, fingers crossed everything runs smoothly. I am genuinely not that worried about the cake itself. I don't want to think about too much about the cake until Friday, I think. So I am just hoping you guys go along with me and enjoy the journey as usual, and maybe you'll learn something. This will just be time-lapse videos, because at the end of the day the only other video I will take will be after the cake has been set up by someone else, not by me. But I might do a mini, because again I'm going to be a bridesmaid, so I don't know how it will go. At the end I might do a mini check-in to tell you how it went, and if I end up being needed with the setup, then you will see me at the setup. But for now, I don't think I'll be needed. So cue the time lapse for 4 days or 5 days. I don't know how many days this will end up being. So see you in the decorating part. If you've been on my channel or any of my platforms for a while, you know I usually prefer to trim my cakes before I start doing buttercream, and that's usually because most people in my house do not like buttercream. So if I trim before, the cake will be consumed for sure, but if I trim after, then the chances of guys enjoying it the way they would enjoy it goes lower. So I prefer to trim before. But for this wedding, and currently I have changed up most of my recipes, and that means my cakes are much more moist or softer, so I do not need to trim the sides. Like, I do not need to do that. So initially I was not going to trim, but these jewelry of mine, I think they've fallen way too many times, and some have lost direction or shape. So when I started layering up, I realized I might have to trim just a little bit so that the cakes turn out perfectly, and that's what I did. So I started from the smallest to the largest. For the order, as I mentioned, it was a 15 kg wedding cake with the 15 kilos divided into 3 flavors, that is lemon poppy, orange poppy, and vanilla. And then there was 4 side cakes and a 5-tier cake. So the 5-tier cake was a 4-inch, a 6-inch, an 8-inch, a 10-inch, and a 12-inch. And then for the 4 side cakes, they were all 6-inch cakes. So I prefer to go from smallest cake to largest cake. That is, I start with a 4-inch cake and finish off with the largest, which is the 12-inch cake. My reason being, I prefer to start with a small cake because it uses less cream and less effort. So in my head, I know if I start with the easiest thing, by the time I get to the largest thing, I have spent already most of the time. So the largest cake will take however long it takes. I feel like I am done. I do not have to worry about if the biggest cake stresses me. I still have 8 more cakes to go. But if I start with the smallest one, I can gauge how fast it will go with each cake. And with the 9 cakes, it was taking me an average of maybe 15 minutes, because the whole 9 cakes took me about an hour to trim and fill, and maybe 1 hour 20 minutes, because I also had to wrap them before I could put them in the fridge so that their sides do not dry up because of the trimming. So yes, it took me 1 hour 20 minutes maximum to fill all of them, which was very good progress for 9 cakes in a day, meaning I had ample time to work on other things and get my ganache ready for the next day. So I will definitely see you on day 2. Bye.